All right, welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're going deep beneath the surface, literally. We're
Yeah.
talking about the tires and wheels that keep e-bikes, mopeds, and motorcycles rolling.
Yeah, you don't always think about it, but
It's more than just rubber and spokes.
right.
Yeah.
There's actually some pretty incredible engineering going on down there.
Exactly. And we've got a bunch of material here that really digs into the details of these things.
Yeah, I think what's really fascinating is how different the designs are for each type of vehicle you know.
Oh,
You've got your e-bikes, your mopeds, your motorcycles. They all have unique demands, and they've come up with really clever solutions for each one.
that's what we're going to explore.
Yeah.
We'll see how they're similar, how they're different. We'll talk about safety, performance, and even a little bit of the physics behind it all.
Right, and the physics are actually really important here. Like the forces acting on these tires and wheels, they change dramatically depending on the speed and the weight of the vehicle.
All right, so let's start with e-bikes. I think the first thing that's obvious is just how much heavier and faster they are compared to regular bicycles.
Right.
That obviously means you need much tougher tires. And I noticed there are these specific speed ratings for e-bike tires like E25 and E50. What do those actually mean?
Okay, so those ratings tell you the maximum speed the tire is designed to handle safely. E25 means it's good for up to 16 miles per hour,
Okay.
and E50 is up to 31. Now, an E50 tire for those higher speeds needs to be much tougher.
Yeah, how do they make them tougher? What's the difference?
The biggest difference is in the casing, the part that gives the tire its structure.
Right.
For an E50 tire, you might have more layers of high-density nylon, sometimes even Kevlar, woven into the casing to make it super strong and resistant to those higher forces. Think of it as a foundation of the tire, got to be strong to hold everything together.
And it seems like flats are a big concern with e-bikes too. Is that where we see so much focus on puncture resistance?
Yeah, absolutely. With the added weight and speed, when you hit a sharp object, there's a lot more force pushing down. So you need a tougher tire to prevent punctures. And Kevlar plays a big role there. You often see it in puncture protection belts within the tire because it's super strong and lightweight. It's basically like a shield against those sharp objects.
It's amazing how much tech goes into something we just ride on, right?
Yeah, it really is.
Give it a
And it gets even more complex when you start talking about tread patterns.
Yeah, like why do some e-bike tires have those knobby treads while others are totally smooth?
Well, smooth tires, sometimes called slicks, are great for paved surfaces. They have less rolling resistance, so you can squeeze more range out of your battery. But if you're going off-road, on trails or gravel,
Mhm.
you need those knobby tires.
Mm.
They dig in and give you the traction you need.
So it's all about picking the right tire for your riding style and the terrain you're on.
Exactly.
And what about the wheels themselves? I've noticed that a lot of e-bikes have those double-walled rims and thicker spokes. What's the reason for that?
Again, it's all about handling that extra weight and the forces from the motor, especially the ones with hub-driven motors.
Yeah, those are becoming popular.
Right, and a double-walled rim is basically two layers of metal with a hollow space in between. That makes it way stronger and more resistant to bending. Imagine trying to bend a flat piece of cardboard versus a cardboard box. The box is way stronger because it's got that hollow structure.
That's a good way to visualize
Oh.
it. So the thicker spokes are there to handle the torque.
Yep. The spokes connect the rim to the hub, which is where the motor's power is transmitted to the wheel. Thicker spokes can handle the twisting forces much better and prevent them from breaking.
All right, let's move on to mopeds. These things are kind of a bridge between e-bikes and motorcycles in terms of speed. How do moped tires compare?
Right, so moped tires have to handle higher speeds than e-bikes, usually up to 28 miles per hour. But they don't need to be as robust as motorcycle tires because mopeds aren't as heavy or as powerful. But still, you'll generally see stronger materials and more layers in the casing compared to e-bike tires. And there are specific speed ratings for moped tires as well. They go all the way up to the J rating, which can handle speeds up to 62 miles per hour, even though most mopeds can't even get close to that.
Interesting. I've seen some mopeds with those solid tires, the ones that don't use air. What's the deal with those?
Those are often seen on scooters and some smaller mopeds. The idea is to eliminate the risk of punctures. But the downside is that they give a much harsher ride.
Yeah, you lose that cushion.
Exactly. They don't absorb bumps as well. And that can be really uncomfortable on rough roads. Plus, the grip isn't quite as good as with pneumatic tires, especially in wet conditions.
So most mopeds still stick with the air-filled tires?
Yeah, pretty much. The improved comfort and grip are worth it for most riders.
And what about wheel size? I see some mopeds with tiny wheels and others with much larger ones. What's the rationale there?
It's mostly about maneuverability and stability. The smaller wheels, typically on scooters, let you zip around easily in traffic and make tight turns.
Makes sense.
But they can be a bit bumpy. Larger wheels, around 16 inches or more, provide more stability at higher speeds and roll over bumps more smoothly. It's really a trade-off between agility and ride quality.
Okay, now let's talk motorcycles. These things are built for speed and power. What kind of tech goes into their tires?
Motorcycle tires are like the pinnacle of tire engineering.
Yeah, gotta be.
You've got all these advanced materials, steel belts for strength, polyester, rayon, and nylon cords for structure and flexibility. They use special silica compounds in the rubber to improve grip in a wet and to make the tire roll more easily. Everything is about maximizing performance and safety at high speeds.
And there are so many different types of motorcycle tires. What are the main differences in those tread patterns?
Yeah, there are a lot.
You see street tires, sport tires, touring tires, off-road tires.
Yeah, and they're all specialized for different types of riding. So for instance, street tires are all about grip and stability on paved roads, while sport tires have to handle those extreme lean angles and high speeds when cornering. Touring tires prioritize longevity and wet weather performance.
Interesting.
Off-road tires have those big, chunky knobs to dig into dirt and mud. Even the direction of the grooves in the tread matters. Like, a lot of front tires have an inverted tread pattern, which is optimized for braking. It helps channel water away from the contact patch and gives you better grip when you're slowing down. It's fascinating how much thought goes into these things.
It really is. And then you've got all those complicated speed and load ratings on motorcycle tires. What do those actually mean for the rider?
Those ratings are critical. They tell you the maximum speed and weight the tire is designed to handle safely. The speed rating is a letter, like H or V, and each letter corresponds to a specific speed. The load index is a number that indicates the maximum weight the tire can carry. Ignoring these ratings can be incredibly dangerous. It could lead to a tire blowout or other failure, especially at high speeds. Always check your tire's speed and load rating and make sure they're appropriate for your bike and how you ride.
So important. And finally, let's talk about safety standards. We've got all these different regulations for e-bikes, mopeds, and motorcycles. How do they help ensure that we're riding safely?
These standards set minimum performance requirements for the tires and wheels. For example, there's UL 2849 for e-bikes, which looks at the safety of the electrical system and the battery, but also things like braking performance and structural integrity.
Okay.
Then you've got FMVSS 119 for motorcycle tires, which is a really comprehensive standard that covers everything from the materials used to the testing procedures. These standards are there to protect riders by ensuring that the components on their vehicles meet a certain level of safety and quality.
So it sounds like double-walled rims are pretty much a must for anything beyond a basic bicycle.
Yeah, I'd say so. They're so much stronger and more durable. They can handle the extra weight and forces from e-bikes and mopeds, and especially motorcycles. If you're riding anything with a motor, I wouldn't go with single-wall rims. They're just not strong enough.
And finally, tire pressure. It sounds like it's something that a lot of people overlook, but it's crucial for all of these vehicles, right?
Absolutely. Maintaining the correct tire pressure is fundamental. It affects everything: handling, grip, comfort, and even tire wear. When your tire pressure is too low, the tire flexes more, which creates heat and can lead to premature wear and even failure.
Okay.
When it's too high, you lose grip and the ride gets really harsh. So check your tire pressure regularly and use a good quality gauge to get an accurate reading.
So to wrap up, it's been a fascinating look at the world beneath our wheels. I think we've learned that there's a surprising amount of technology and engineering that goes into these things.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? When you start to think about all the forces involved, the different riding conditions, the safety aspects, it's pretty impressive what they've achieved with these tires and wheels.
Absolutely. And as electric vehicles become more popular, we can only expect even more innovation in this area.
Yeah, who knows what the future holds. Maybe we'll see self-healing tires or something like that.
Or tires that adjust their pressure on the fly depending on the terrain. The possibilities are endless. Anyway, food for thought for our listeners. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, guys, so that was the very interesting AI-narrated deep research on bicycle, e-bike, moped, and motorcycle tires. I'm gonna have to look this over, boys. Wow, I came up with so much stuff here. This is crazy. This deep researching where we can just learn everything so quickly. Did you guys learn something today about wheels and tires and rims and stuff? I sure did. So if you like these AI deep research things, make sure you like and subscribe, because I gotta pay Google to do it. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Let me know if you have any other ideas for these videos. I'll type it in there and we'll have it crunch the numbers and we'll make it happen. So give me your ideas in the comments as well for deep research AI topics. Thanks for watching. See you next time.